blowing this way.
The forecast models all show it developing into at least a tropical storm in the Gulf of Mexico, and what we know is that they generally under forecast the strength of storms. It's rare that when a storm gets going that they over forecast it. Sometimes they do before it ever gets started, but once it's there, the over forecasting thing is not generally the issue, especially a fairly small storm in the Gulf of Mexico. So anyway, there's concern here, then it seems like a very fine line between whether it has an opportunity to get really strong or whether it's going to be kind of held down by the upper level winds, just right on the border and certainly too close to call. So let's look at what's going on right now, and we see it right before our eyes. Look, over the last 6 hours, you see kind of a broad system in here like this. But we see two things. One is we see a curved cloud coming in, wrapping into the center. And the other, we see thunderstorms kind of near the center, but we also see that there's nothing on the south side. So that's an indication that the upper level winds are kind of pushing it in this direction and are at least slightly hostile at this time, but not hostile enough to keep it from developing and keep storms from developing out near that center. So this is, looks like a system developing, but the thing is, it's also right next to land. So the land is an inhibiting factor. You have a lot of pluses and minuses going right now, but it is just a brand new system. We have this upper level low over here, and that upper level low, the atmosphere like that, is what pulled it up out of Central America. It's a pretty strong system. It moved all the way across Florida and ended up over there, but it's moving out of the picture now, so that's going to put a more conducive wind regime over top of this budding depression. There you see the flow around that upper level low, and notice all of this here from south to north, so that's still imparting some hostility to the system. But we notice
all right, I'm back.
general high pressure that rotates.
I just tried a live stream as well.
That's a conducive atmosphere.
Let me get y'all the link. Like I said, I'm sending y'all the link.
Conducive atmosphere to the right, and this is going to be the balance system done live here, moving on. Okay, so here we are right now with 25
battery.
winds with the estimate from the Hurricane Center. The direction of movement north and northwest slowly at 10 miles an hour. Doesn't have a big push behind it now because the upper level low is moving away. And there's the estimate of the current pressure, 1,008 millibars. The National Hurricane Center has an 80% chance of it developing into at least a tropical depression. Now, if it only would develop into a tropical depression, I think everybody on the West Coast would be really happy.
Is Mom here?
Because that would mean rain in areas that have been
nope. Someone's watching.
A good part of this summer, but the odds favor it being more than a tropical depression, although the 80% really just means that low bar.
Alright, into space we go.
Getting circulation.
I'm out of launch thrust fuel. Of course I'm out of launch thrust fuel. What do I need?
So over the next few days, you see it doesn't move very fast. Kind of runs into Yucatan maybe. But the thing is, the point is, it just doesn't move a lot. Now, since we started talking about this half an hour ago, the new European model has come in, and it's got it moving a little bit faster here than the old model, which had it down here. But in any case, by Tuesday morning,
well, you can also play this in VR, but I'd have to play on VR on my PS4.
Exactly what's going to happen is unclear, but it's going to land to go over potentially, and we'll see what happens.
We'll do eventually plan on getting the new PlayStation VR.
Forecasts are really for not to intensify a lot of the weekend, waiting to get into the Gulf of Mexico. So here we are on Tuesday, and then let's see what happens with the upper level winds. We see they're coming in like this.
Free night.
That's going to want to push
so what?
on to the north. Okay, so that's the direction it's going to go. Let's see what happens with the model. We track the moisture. So here we are on Tuesday with the moisture all over here, and here we go. All right, goes to the north. There goes the moisture pushing across the peninsula of Florida, pushing up even into Georgia. Here's the new model. There was the old model, so a little bit faster, but in the same general direction. Now, I don't want anybody jumping on this and saying, oh my God, there's a storm coming here to the Big Bend.
Okay.
No, and think about it, the possibilities that this says. It says it could be
Can
here,
I get
it could be there.
exosuit
but
upgrade?
The indication is that there is a storm developing of some kind. How strong remains to be seen. Then it shoots off, and then the models kind of line up, the new one and the old one, both in basically the same place. Notice here, this is a cold front coming down, so it's going to ride up right in front of that cold front as it's thinking right now. So Ian, we'll see. We'll kind of address what this new model is saying us, and hopefully here comes at the top again.
Hey Brian, much to be decided still, but the message is don't expect much in terms of a path off to the north over the weekend. It's really the early.
I'm not gonna do that here. I'm gonna do it to the other side.
We'll see what it looks like at that point.
And probably
we're watching it every step of the way over the weekend. Fox Weather Hurricane Specialist Brian Norcross. We'll see you at the top of the hour. Thank you.
The last one looks at its alarm before waving me away.
On the Atlantic with this one, not the direct impacts that we're expecting or watching for with 93L. But here we go. This is one that we've been watching for days and days. We know the middle of the week it made that transit across the Dominican Republic. Torrential rain, awful flooding there. We've mentioned the wind shear. Brian was just talking about where that was in the Gulf of Mexico. Franklin hit this ribbon of it that was off to the east of the Turks and Caicos and Bahamas, and that stopped.
We are watching you travel, Frank. Find what we have left for you.
Down to about 50 miles per hour. Dylan behind me in Weather Command, he and I were just taking a look at this. This is the low-level center of circulation. You can see that swirl. Look at where all the showers and thunderstorms are. Greatly displaced off to the east and southeast. That is the wind shear just pressing on this system, something like that, and not allowing it to become vertically stacked. Eventually, this wind shear will finally quit once it gets north of about here, and once that happens over the weekend, finally Franklin will have the opportunity to move through a more favorable environment and intensify because of that. That's the forecast from the National Hurricane Center.
I'm fine. Everything's fine.
Bermuda is no longer in the cone, but this will make a run at major hurricane intensity, at least high-end category 2. While Franklin isn't expected to directly hit the United States, its effects could be felt in the Sunshine State, really up and down the east coast of the U.S., with a high rip current expected across Florida. Let's bring in Fox Weather's Brandy Campbell in Miami Beach. Brandy, sadly, there's already been 72 deaths this year from rip currents. It's not a threat that you can see, but it's one that will be there as we move on into the weekend.
God damn it. Okay, I'm gonna have to go back to the base.
That's right. It's a very deceiving threat, I should say. And so right now we're keeping an eye on the beaches up and down the East Coast. Like you said, I'm here on Miami Beach where you can see the
y'all two ain't prone to like seizures or anything, are y'all?
To the left of your screen. So right now they have a medium risk in the surf zone right now. We definitely have people out there enjoying the water. The National Weather Service says we also have a high risk of rip currents in this area as well.
And away we go.
Aware of is a lot of people, they always hit up the beach here in Miami, but up and down the East Coast, they may be drawn to it even more so with the holiday coming up. So it's something to keep in mind right now. Now, I also want to say, depending on your beach conditions, proximity to a lifeguard is very important because that is really one of the factors that can save your life during a time like this. Riptides or currents, I should say, can be dangerous, and sometimes they become deadly. And we know with Franklin passing far off the East Coast, it can make those conditions even worse. Now, Ian, you mentioned these numbers.
The traveler finds their wings, fly to us, and claim your place among the stars.
In the surf zone this year in the U.S., 67 of those directly attributed to rip currents across the U.S. That information, according to the National Weather Service. I spoke with Jason Casanova, the division chief for the Miami Beach Ocean Rescue. He explained while they do have rip currents here, they haven't had any.
Oh, wait, okay, Coda, are you still in this live stream?
However, along the 7.1 miles of beach here, they do have 38 lifeguard stands looking over the millions of people that come here every year. Just last year, they said they rescued 900 people from the water, some of them caught in rip currents. So he suggests, regardless of what beach you go to,
because I was hoping to show you just how big this game truly
I know
is.
these people go out to the beach, they see the crashing waves, which is actually in the shallow water. And they see
Like this game is absolutely massive. Okay, sweet.
In that water, and they get pulled out from shore. But the most important thing is if you do get stuck in a current, Don't panic.
Oh, you see that planet over there?
And then swim parallel to shore. The worst thing to do is fight.
I can go to it.
It's called the rowing machine. You exert all your energy to the point where you just stop and then.
Yeah.
All right, now take a look at this animation. This is exactly what he was talking about. This is from the National Weather Service. You can see the swimmer being dragged out in what appears to be calm water in the gathering waves. They waited, and eventually they swam behind the breaking waves and swam parallel to the shore to escape that. So when you go to the beach, especially over this weekend,
this game is also multiplayer.
Impacts on Franklin. Keep that in mind if you get caught in that situation. And also, pay attention to your lifeguards and look for those flags just so you have that heads up before you even get in the water.
It's Randy, plenty of summer left to enjoy still, especially
it's a PS5.
You just have to make sure you do it safely. Yeah, good tip there, Randy. Thank you. Meanwhile,
I can play this on PS4.
Dangerous heat in play for folks across the Midwest and the Central Gulf Coast today. High temperatures in the upper 90s, low triple digits. Jane, good news for some, and at least that big bubble of just awful heat has consolidated this much.
And I think Mother Nature got together with Chicago and did it just in time for pumpkin spice to be rolled out. Cooler weather for the weekend, but that's not for everybody. And unfortunately, where it's not cooling down, it is really miserably hot. And for a place like Dallas to break another record, I mean, how many of those have we had this summer so far? It's almost mundane to break a record at this point.
I think there's only 3 days so far in Dallas this month that have actually been in the double digits. Both of those, all three of them, were 99. So we, yeah.
Well, the heat is going to continue to shift closer to the Gulf Coast. So this high pressure, which is in big control today across the Central Plains, the Heartland, St. Louis, another day of corn sweat. Well, that
I do not have a very powerful jetpack yet.
Shift down to the south, so there comes the cool down. Not so much really in a day tomorrow, but come Sunday, that's welcome.
Imagine that. We had a heat index yesterday in Chicago that was reported at 120. You can knock 50 degrees off of that for Sunday afternoon.
That's a hard stop.
That's the work of Big Pumpkin Spice pulling the strings in the background. But you had farther south, no deal.
No, Houston was an all-time hottest day on record.
Okay, well, so what?
2000. And so this heat, you know, it's just been a summer of records, and it's been a summer that's been so excessively hot for a long period of time. That's what makes it dangerous, and that's what makes it.
Yeah, this is a crash freighter.
When you're challenging all-time records in some of these places, you know, the danger is real. So just be aware of this as we move on to the weekend. Also for the weekend.
I'm sorry about that.
Does Invest 93L chances of development rise? More on its potential path and who it could impact.
Log damage, partial records available. What?
Facing down there. There are plenty of limits. Plenty of personal loans.
Nestled among the breeze, I find the pilot's log, blinking, awaiting input. Request log. Instead of displaying the ship's log, the terminal spits out a strange sequence of numbers. They are followed by a shortened message. The anomaly comes for the stars. Take flight. A schematic for a hyperdrive is attached to the end of the message. Navigation data required. Oh, whoa, what the frick? Damn it. I just need that. The fuck you?
Welcome back to Fox Weather Now. Fox Weather is your Hurricane HQ. Let's get you to the latest on now Invest 93L and the rising threat from the early and the middle part of next week for the Gulf Coast. Here we go. As we look at the basin, jumps right off the screen at you. This development chance now up to 80%. That's up from 0 just 2 days ago. So we're watching those trends closely. Franklin will intensify over the weekend. You've got Invest 92L, what's left to Emily, and now a new tropical wave emerging off the Gulf of Africa. It's got a chance of development. That's a long ways out from impacting anybody. We'll get there eventually. Here's Invest 93L, a disorganized area of showers and thunderstorms, broad low pressure. But there you go, a slow
Yes.
drift. It won't be over the weekend, likely into the early part of next week, eventually emerging through the Yucatan Channel or somewhere close by and into the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Very likely that this becomes at least a tropical depression. We're thinking likely at least a storm, perhaps stronger than that. This is the European forecast model bringing this tropical moisture somewhere up toward the west coast of Florida or the Big Bend, perhaps even the Panhandle. That was the European forecast model. There is some wind shear there that may keep this as more of a poorly organized system, bringing all that moisture
where's
to
the
Big Bend. The GFS is slower and farther west. Granted, this has been wavering. That would be a stronger solution with more time spent over the Gulf. We'll keep you updated as these models come to their consensus. For today's Fox Weather Flashback, we're remembering Hurricane Harvey. 6 years ago today, Harvey slammed into the Texas coastline, making landfall near Rockport, Texas. It marked the first major hurricane to hit the United States in 12 years, and the first to hit the Middle Texas coast.
Okay, copper, yay.
After making landfall, Harvey drifted north, stalling near the Houston metro area. The storm dumped a record amount of rain and was the wettest tropical cyclone in American history. Nederland, Texas, recorded over 5 feet of rain. Fox Weather's Britta Merwin and Stephen Morgan both reported during Hurricane Harvey. They look back on their experience earlier this morning on Fox Weather First.
Your experience here during Hurricane Harvey here, because you were out in the elements here, and you saw what happened firsthand.
Yeah, it was actually a little closer where you were for Harold in Corpus Christi, and as far as the storm was concerned, I mean, we saw this in about 2 days go from Cat 1 to a Cat 4 hurricane. It was one of those that rapidly intensified as it approached shore, and being in Corpus Christi and then seeing that landfall occur just to the north, immediately after we went in there, I mean, the wind for 130.
Alright, I need to head back up to the space station.
In Corpus Christi, just to the north in Rockport Falls,
so it might be fast going back to my base.
Significant storm surge. It had looked like a tornado. That's how I remember it, the wind damage associated with it.
And I mean, you also lived through this with your family. You had to pack them up and send them eastward.
I think the tough thing is when you are tracking a storm and working a storm and it's hitting your hometown, you're having to balance so many things, what's going on in your personal life, but of course you're putting your job kind of ahead of that. And so in my family, our hurricane plan always was, we're going to send the family out before this could even get out of hand. So my family evacuated days ahead because we do have a special needs child. We know that our setup is not going to go well if people are left at home. And so I think that that's the most important thing when you're looking at your hurricane preparedness plan. Look at what your family needs, and if you are going to be somebody that voluntarily evacuates, do it before you're even getting to the point where people have to mandatorily evacuate.
Hurricane Ian decimated much of coastal southwest Florida almost a year ago, and efforts to rebuild are still in motion. Many local businesses are still struggling to reopen even a year later. Marketing manager for the Beachside Hospitality Group, Julia Casino, joins me now. Julia, you spoke with us after Hurricane Ian hit last year. I remember a number of your employees at one of the restaurants that was completely destroyed.
Holy shit.
Everything. What progress has been made in the months almost a year?
Holy shit.
Well, immediately following
I need that much? What the fuck?
We posted a GoFundMe for our staff. We were were also able to receive almost $50,000 in donations from guests and visitors and just family and friends that saw. We had 73 employees that have lost their jobs, they've lost their homes. We also received an outpouring of support from donations from local businesses, whether it be clothes, toys for children. We ended up filling a 28-foot box truck up twice to deliver goods to those employees. Since that time, it's been difficult to navigate because the building itself was completely demolished.
Over 100,000.
We are now considered a new build on Fort Myers Beach, and with that comes some new uncertainties that we were not prepared for. Parking is a big one of those, and so we're currently still in the works with the city to try and get a
Back to Outpost
variance,
Zero.
so we don't have to provide parking. Our restaurant thrived without parking spaces before, and so that's really been the biggest hurdle for us to get back to being on Fort Myers Beach.
Yeah, can you tell us more about that? Because I know you've made changes across the whole restaurant group in how you respond to during and after events like Ian, but also there was new mandates from some of the cities and from the state. How is that hindering your plans to get some of these this restaurant back open?
Well, in regards to Fort Myers Beach, this new location, because it's a new build now, it is going to have parking. That is the new city ordinance, that's the county ordinance, and unfortunately, that is something that we've had to navigate. In regards to hurricane preparedness, you know, we live in Florida, and so everyone kind of prepares for this, but there's really only so much that you can do to prepare for a storm this devastating. We have always had a great hurricane preparedness plan, and with that comes closing all of our restaurants down across the state with at least 24 hours prior to those first fronts making landfall, and that allows our employees to get their homes ready for a storm, because while we care about our business, we care about our employees too, and want to make sure that their homes are safe. And that allows us to assess what we plan on seeing with those locations and the storms. We will cover windows with plywood, we will sandbag anything that is outside, whether it be a picnic table, tables, chairs, umbrellas, anything that can move will be moved inside. And in regards to Ian, we're really proud of our team and the work that they put into leading up to the storm. They certainly did the best they could, but you know, when that water rises 5, 6, 7 feet, there's really only so much preparedness that you can have.
Yeah, that was a storm of a historic nature, and we certainly hope that you can get the restaurant back open as soon as possible, get everybody back to work. We wish you the absolute best moving through the rest of this hurricane season. Julia Casino, marketing manager with the Beachside Hospitality Group. Thanks for talking with us here on Fox Weather.
Thanks for having me, Ian.
Move to Southern California now. Cathedral City is still digging out of the mud and the debris caused by Hillary earlier this week. Major flooding triggered mudslides that washed out roads and left cars stranded.
Okay, sweet.
Had to rescue nearly 50 people trapped in the mud. Fox Weather's Max
Vortex cubes. This is good.
Max, some of these scenes that we saw out of desert areas in California were just unbelievable. What's making this recovery so difficult?
Yeah, well, I mean, just the sheer amount of mud. You can see a lot of this mud right behind me, and these piles of dirt are currently being placed right there as front-end loaders. The ones that were rescuing people just a few days ago are now being used to try and dig out. Now, a lot of homes have been damaged here in Cathedral City. About $69 million worth of damage here in Riverside County. Businesses also feeling the brunt of Hillary. A lot of these businesses filled with about 4 feet of mud. I talked to one business owner about...
Any more some string relics? No? Okay.
I don't want to think emotionally. First couple of nights, I woke up in the middle of the night thinking it just might be a nightmare or something. But then I realized, okay, no, this has happened. Just gotta move forward. Take one step, one scoop of dirt away. Just little by little, we have small mini goals for every day. We try to see if we can achieve the goals or make whatever we can make sense of it, no? Basically.
Now over in Palm Springs, a few miles away, Indian Canyon Drive, one of the main thoroughfares that connects communities around here to the main hospital in the area, is going to be closed down for 2 months. It's covered by about 4 feet of mud and silt, and the base of this road has been undermined by the waters. Now, local leaders here, they want money to build several bridges and culverts on this area so they can storm-proof it. Take a listen.
Unfortunately, this is not the first time this has happened. Anyone who has lived in the desert for any period of time knows that it only takes a trickle of rain to close Indian Canyon.
Now, it's still unclear when these bridges will be able to be built.
Hopefully that's enough to get the money I need to get the fuck out of the solar system.
Here, Cathedral City, to clean up. But as you can see, front-end loaders continue to work. The mud continues to pile up. It's going to likely be a long time coming. Ian?
Max, those scenes are just wild. You consider that this tropical moisture came down in a matter of hours, and the cleanup is expected to take months. Max Gordon,
Mom, you still here?
That's going to do it for this hour of Fox Weather Now. Don't forget, you can download the Fox Weather app to stay up to date with the latest forecast.
Okay.
That'll be especially important this weekend into next week as we track a lot of activity in the tropics. We'll get you updated on Invest 93L, eventually headed for the Gulf when Fox Weather comes right back.
Okay. So how many? Okay, I need 5 of these. 137,500. Okay.
This is where it starts to get a little more interesting.
This is just the beginning.
The experts you trust.
We need to save lives. We need to pay attention.
Leveraging the power of Fox News and Fox Weather's resources across the country.
Fuck. 7,000 was 500 more. 5,000 more.
Wow, you get to watch all your favorite stuff. It's to die for, and it's all right here. Streaming was never this easy, you know. This is the way anyone allowed in here. It's called commitment.
I can sell all this. I don't need silver right now.
You can try.
Get way more into what you're into when you stream on the Xfinity.
Alright, sweet. Let's get out of the solar system.
Every summer, for as long as I can remember, I've been coming up here to skip. You see, it's so thin and crispy, it's not just perfect for eating, it's also perfect for skipping. You know, every summer, for as long as I can remember, slices of thin crust pizza just fly out of the lake. I can hear. I got one! Me too! Wait, give it! Thin crust!
Southern attitudes.
Pizza.
I have a gun now. Okay, sweet.
Florida and the Gulf Coast facing a rising tropical threat. This live look at Cancun, a little bit unsettled there as we track Invest 93L moving through the Northwest Caribbean. Emergency managers in Florida are already prepping for what's ahead. We're looking at how the system could rapidly develop in the coming days.
What do I need? Oh, just paradise.
Tear through the Great Lakes overnight, leaving flooding and a trail of destruction in Michigan and Ohio. Michigan's governor declared a state of emergency. At least one tornado hit near Lansing, damaging homes and scattering debris. Now we're timing out the threat tonight for more storms from the Midwest into the Mid-Atlantic. We told you how Chicago hit a record-setting 120-degree heat index yesterday. Some major
antimatter.
But we'll explain why not everyone will get in on it. That's all right now on Fox Weather Now.
Foreign planetary scan from orbit.
Thank you for watching Fox Weather right now. It is 4 o'clock on the East Coast, 1 p.m. out west. I'm Ian Oliver, and this is Fox Weather Now. What a week this has been in both basins, the Atlantic and the Pacific, tracking tropical systems. We still have the remnants of Emily, Invest 92L, and a new potential disturbance emerging off the west coast of Africa, Franklin, which will intensify as we move into the weekend.
Okay, sweet.
And now it's been
The Earth-type planet.
Invest 93L with a path that eventually takes it into the Gulf, and like this in Florida impacts. We're going to get to our Fox Weather hurricane specialist Brian Norcross in just a moment, but quickly, a Fox Weather alert as we did just get a tornado warning issued awfully close to the Ohio River. That is Scioto County in Ohio, north of the Ohio River. This storm has shown some rotation, although when this particular tornado warning was prompted, the rotation actually in this last scan that is actually tightened back up. You can see it right there, right along Route 823 on a path that's taking it south at about 15 miles per hour. So you see in through here, that's the Ohio River. This is on a path.
Okay, overgrown planet, weather, broiling humidity, resources common, fauna generous, flora abundant, sentinels isolated, okay? Copper, perfidium, and sodium. Okay, sweet.
Right there, and that's what the radar is picking up just off to the north of Camp Bennett. That red you're seeing is actually some fairly strong rotation. Now, for the time being, with our high-resolution mapping, thankfully you see it's in a fairly rural spot into this hill. There's a bit of a mountain there, just off to the north of the Ohio River, but it will be descending down into some of these communities. So again, if you've got that alert in, that's a new tornado warning that's issued likely as that storm has cycled back up in intensity. We're going to continue to monitor both this storm and a developing severe
hopefully get something good from this.
The Midwest into the Mid-Atlantic as we move on through this evening, but we do want to get you updated with what's happening in the tropics. So let's get right out to hurricane specialist Brian Norcross. Invest 93L is the name now, Brian. We've been referring to this as a couple of different things over the last couple of days. Still a lot of questions long term, but at least in the short term, there is a bit more clarity with what we're looking for.
Yeah, it's still a developing tropical disturbance, but the National Hurricane
The turbulence is clouded with unnerving pulsation slime. Nevertheless, it appears to function as I touch the input panel. The alien substance reacts violently. I make a note to avoid getting closer. The device opens, revealing a single unblinking crimson eye. It prints out a blueprint for antimatter. Copy that, accompanied by a strange message. You will find us when the time is right. 16 repeating. And I need more copper. Oh my God. What the hell? That is awesome.
Stretching it out north to south, but it does look like the situation is becoming more conducive. This is indeed a threat to the Gulf Coast of Florida from, let's say, the central part of the West Coast to the Panhandle. The Panhandle looks like right now, but let's say everybody on the Gulf Coast of Florida needs to pay close attention this weekend because it's not going to get organized until the first part of next week. All right, let's look at the wider view. And And you can see what started this whole thing. It's this upper level low pressure system over here. And it's kind of unusual.
So that thing's a plant. Got it.
It's tracked across Florida over there. And when it was in this position in here, it acted like a scoop. We talked about this a couple of days ago. A scoop and pulled this disturbance that actually started Pacific over Central America and up into the Caribbean. This is unusual, to say the least, for August, but the whole weather pattern
Oh my
is kind
god.
of unusual.
Okay, this planet is officially cool. I am definitely building a base here.
So here we look at the middle levels of the atmosphere here, and this shows us where the moisture is in the atmosphere. Here you clearly see this upper level low. Well, it's moving out of the picture, so that's not going to be a factor. But we also see, look at the way these clouds are moving here. They're moving in this direction. They're not moving in the low pressure system direction. They're moving like a high pressure system on top of that developing system. Well, it turns out when you get a high overdeveloping a tropical system, that's actually conducive for strengthening. So that's what I was saying. This is an indication that the influence of this system is moving out of the picture, and now we're going to have a more conducive regime, which is what we don't like to see, but that's what we're going to have. We're going to have this balance between hostility to the near the system. So here's what the Hurricane Center is thinking: moving to the north, bending a little to the northeast, and then it develops into at least a tropical depression somewhere in here. That looks for all the world kind of like a cone. It's not really a cone; it's a development area. But we really think the odds are higher that it's going to develop down in here somewhere. It's probably going to do that by Monday or Tuesday. That seems like the best chance right now. So let's track this on the, this is the European computer model. Now, I don't want anybody to buy into any one model, but the European has been fairly consistent. The American GFS model has been kind of
Land shark?
So we have more confidence in models that are consistent.
Yep, land shark.
In general. Here's the moisture with the system now. Notice it's not unified. It's kind of spread all over the place. Here we are right now, essentially. Now watch as we go forward.
Oh my god, are you okay?
Time. Here we are through today.
Oh my god, what the?
Kind of
These animals are in pain, and there's actual predators here, like this land shark with fur.
On Monday, and by this time, indeed, it has a unified circulation. By this time, the moisture is already spread up into Florida, so effects on at least the west coast, if not the whole state of Florida, at least the peninsula of Florida, already on Tuesday. Now the question is what's going to happen. Because in the upper atmosphere, what we have going on is a dip coming in the jet stream here that's going to drive it north. Might that dip drive some of this dry air over here, the browns or dry air, into it, which would weaken it? Or is it going to maintain itself in a conducive environment in a lane up the west coast? That's unknown at this point. The European model does intensify it some. You see the greens get darker up in here. But notice that the moisture is out in front of it. That's an indication that there are winds blowing over top of it like this, which are at least slightly hostile. So right now we're thinking an intensifying storm moving north on the west coast, going to affect the west coast of Florida. Whether it's there, or it's over here, or it's down here, that's completely unknown. The odds are about equal in all of that, but everybody on the west coast needs to be aware that this is something that is...
This is one of those times where I wish I had a geo grenade.
About the middle of the week for some kind of landfall there on the Gulf Coast of Florida. Then it speeds on across and moves on out. So here's the bottom line for folks on the west coast. You can expect gusty winds. We can expect periods of heavy rain. At least we can expect some storm surge, even if it's just a tropical storm. Could be a hurricane, yes it could, but even if it's just a tropical storm surge, especially in vulnerable areas like around Tampa Bay and other inlets there, that is a possibility even with a tropical storm, and the level of each one of those is what's unknown. We expect all those to happen, but how much? How gusty are the winds? How heavy is the rain? How much storm surge? Those are just unknowable at this point. But just from a basic weather pattern standpoint, here's the way it looks. This here is now the heat dome. The heat dome is going to move out of the picture we go through this week. And now watch as we go forward and watch the steering, which is going up on the jet stream here. And here's our system. This is Franklin over here, by the way, just for interest. And there's a cold front that's going to be pushed south, as Ian was talking about. So here it is, moving north, and it's going to scoop it up, is the idea. Exactly the orientation of that scoop, we're not sure, but the scooping is going to happen. What moves north, how it develops, those are the unknowns at this point. Ian?
Yeah, devil's in the details always with this, but it's becoming increasingly likely that we see some of those impacts. I love how you said just the tropical system. Everybody on the west coast of Florida, which is especially storm surge prone, knows exactly what to expect even with a tropical system. We'll be watching for any trends with these forecast models over the weekend. Fox Weather hurricane specialist Brian Norcross, thank you. And now back farther north to this weather threat. At least 4 people are dead after severe storms tore through Michigan and Ohio last night. Michigan's governor has declared a state of emergency there. The National Weather Service has confirmed at least 1 tornado near Lansing.
Call me Katrina because the government is not coming.
In Kent County. The storm damaged homes, sent debris flying, and caused a lot of flooding.
I'm surprised no one laughed at that.
Here with us now, Jane. This was an awful.
Oh my God, dude! What are you?
We're tracking more of that. More expected tonight.
Yeah, a little bit further down to the south, this renewed threat of severe storms today. That tornado that came through Kent County.
Okay, why do you walk on 2 legs?
7 miles, maximum of 200.
All during the overnight.
Miles per hour, right? In the darkened hours, which really say is the most dangerous time of night. Let your guard down, you're sleeping. Now, with those storms that came through, we still have over 500,000 customers without power across Michigan and Ohio. And this coming the day before when we had at least 50,000 customers without power.
Right, and you're on the periphery of, thankfully not in that direct awful heat farther off to the south and west.
Exactly.
I'll take that.
Positive light there. But you see high pressure has been driving these storms up and around. It's that storm pattern that we've been stuck in all summer long. Exactly. And this time, because of how that high was oriented a little bit further over the heartland, it's brought Michigan and Ohio in the storm track. And even this afternoon, with that likely
Hold up, before I leave.
also back towards Springfield, Indiana, that comes overnight. This afternoon, open line of storms across Kentucky, one of which spawning a tornado warning right along the border into Ohio.
Yeah, northern parts of the bluegrass, you've had
And away we go.
Some flash flood warnings along Interstate 64. But yeah, you head up to the Ohio River and just north into southeastern parts of
They go there for
Ohio.
right now.
That's that tornado warning that we've been watching. A couple of them with a couplet that developed and broadened out, but then re-intensified. That's why we got the second one issued.
It looks to have broadened out once again, Jay. You mentioned there's a bit of a hill here.
Oh, excuse me.
The terrain might be a bit of a difficulty when we're talking about the radar beam as it kind of scans the sky to get a look inside the storm. But you can see the trends have really tightened up this rotation and then broadened it back out again. Yeah. So we'll have to watch it closely. In fact, the National Weather Service went ahead and kind of reissued where that tornado box would be. It looks to have jumped a little bit with that storm.
Yeah, some strong storms regardless, so you got to take those seriously. Big wind gusts and clearly heavy rain with those flash flood warnings that have been issued. It comes in rounds, though, these disturbances moving up and over that area at high pressure, and as you mentioned, into the
don't know what that is, but okay.
Yeah, we get to 1 o'clock in the morning and storms
purchase upgrade modules.
And that's going to continue into Kentucky, storm zones that are seeing it at this hour, and it's spreading out all the way into the start of the day on Saturday.
That is a B-class life support module. Yes.
Insult to injury, but north of that, you know, it's around where that boundary sits.
Yeah.
Cleveland, thankfully, Detroit having a much nicer weekend.
Yeah, thankfully.
Okay, what do you do?
Up to the south of there, I know it's Friday night, but it's really something to be very aware of because of the intensity of those storms. And Fox Weather is with you all weekend as we track Invest 93L and its threat to the Gulf Coast. Make sure you have those alerts turned on the Fox Weather app so you can get the latest information on the storm's development and its path in the coming days. Fox Weather now, back after this.
Lowe's knows that fall shorter days call for bigger deals. Get the most out of your project.
Solar panel power. What? Okay.
Shop Labor Day deals under $90 now, in store or online.
Facing down dead. There are plenty of lenders. Plenty of personal loans.
Okay.
Credit Karma's technology shows curated personal loans with outstanding chances of approval.
Let's go with, yeah. Launch thruster.
Save over 15% on average on interest rates when they compare on Credit Karma. Oh, apply through Intuit Credit Karma now.
Welcome back. Fox Weather is your Hurricane HQ, and we're closely tracking what's now being referred to, designated by the National Hurricane Center as Invest 93L, on a path that will eventually take it up into the Gulf. It's certainly not alone across the basin. You've got Franklin, which will, over the next several days, make a run at major hurricane intensity. Thankfully, that looks to stay off the East Coast and western Bermuda. We've got what's left of Emily, Invest 92L, and now a new potential disturbance that's moved off the coast of Africa. And yeah, that's what we expect into the heart of the season, these tropical waves emerging into the main development region, and we track them all the way across the basin. This is a little bit more of a late season feel. That's Invest 93L, which has pivoted off of Central America. Broad area of low pressure with some disorganized showers and thunderstorms. It doesn't move a ton in the short term, at least through the weekend, because of the overall lack of steering currents in between now and then. This was the area of low pressure, an upper level low, that pulled this energy up off of Central America and this band of disturbed weather with the ITCZ farther off to the south. Now it sits there and spins a bit, and what happens in the short term has a lot to do with what we expect long term. There isn't a lack of wind shear, at least for the time being, although that is actually starting to throttle back a bit as this upper level low drifts farther off to the west. So it's becoming increasingly conducive, or favorable at least. There is plenty of atmospheric moisture and warm water. Those two are related in this sense. You've got sea surface temperatures there in the upper 80s. The northwestern Caribbean is some of the warmest and deepest water in the entire Atlantic basin. So that is actually a fairly favorable pocket for development. Once it finally starts drifting off to the north, we're expecting, 80% chance over the next 7 days. That's up from 0 2 days ago and 60% yesterday. This will eventually move up into the eastern Gulf of Mexico, with Gulf Coast, particularly Florida, impact expected. The past week has been full of extremes, from a historic tropical deluge across the southwest with an earthquake in the mix, to multiple named storms in the Atlantic. It was a flurry of activity, 4 storms that formed in just a 39-hour stretch. That's the fastest that 4 named storms have developed on record. Emily, Franklin, Gert, and Harold. And now growing threats to the U.S. mainland as we approach
3 more there
of the hurricane season. So let's get started at the very beginning. It was last weekend, all eyes on Hurricane Hilary. This was a rare storm on approach to the west coast. It made landfall on Sunday, August 20th, with 60-mile-per-hour maximum winds across the northern Baja California peninsula. But the winds weren't the story. As it moved inland, it drenched portions of the southwest, including major cities like San Diego, Las Vegas, and Los Angeles. Record rain led to flash flooding, washing out streets and prompting mudslides. This was especially the case in desert regions that just aren't used to seeing this much rain. Crews in Cathedral City, California, had to think outside the box to rescue senior citizens that were stranded in the thick mud.
We had about a year's worth of rain in 24 hours, which complicated things. We usually don't get this type of rain this time of year. But yeah, what the pictures are showing with the front end loader, we were running out of options just due to the dynamic of the elderly patients and the multiple threats of still moving mud.
And while the Southwest continues to dry out and clean up, by Tuesday, we shifted from the west coast of the country to the west coast of the Gulf of Mexico, southern Texas, and Harold. Tropical Storm Harold was short-lived, at least in terms of its tropical lifespan. However, it did mark our first landfall of the 2023 Atlantic Basin hurricane season. The storm blasted in Texas Tuesday, making landfall on Padre Island in the morning with maximum winds of around 50 miles per hour. Fox Weather's Jason Fraser was live on Padre Island reporting the conditions as Harold slammed the Texas Gulf Coast.
Fuck it, I just crafted another one. So wild hydras, bada boom, bada boom. Starship, 2 warps. Alright, Mom. Mom! Okay, good, you're there. Alright, so,
leading to dangerous flooding, especially along the coast. Fox Weather's
you talking to me or someone else?
Mark Sudduth captured this car hydroplaning and crashing on the wet roads. Even with the bits of flooding that occurred, much of this rain
I'm sorry. Well,
beneficial with some areas like Corpus Christi completely erasing
yeah, no. This game isn't just big, it's literally infinite.
More than 4 inches of rain. Now, by Wednesday, we were keeping an eye farther out into the Atlantic, where Tropical Storm Franklin was making its trek north toward the Dominican Republic and Haiti.
Yeah. Oh my god, I am so far away from the center.
Storm lashed the DR with strong winds and inches of rain. The conditions leading once again to major flash flooding in the Dominican Republic. Local residents wading through waist-high water. The impacts being felt in both urban and rural areas of the island. And Franklin's story isn't over just yet, as it's expected to push north and strengthen. Its forecast takes it north toward Bermuda into early next week. The biggest threat across the east coast of the U.S. looks to be high surf and dangerous rip currents. Finally, now, here at the end of the week, it's all eyes on the Gulf Coast and
well, some places are, but not here.
Now designated Invest 93L, showing a high chance of formation over the next 7 days, putting millions on edge.
And so what?
The area drifts north toward the northwestern Caribbean and eventually the Gulf of Mexico. The forecast is expected to evolve over the weekend. Keep it right here on Fox Weather for the latest updates. And keeping the focus on hurricane season, for the first time, Floridians will get their second sales tax break this year on storm and disaster preparedness supplies. It all starts tomorrow. Fox 13 Tampa Bay reporter.
Starship monitoring system reports error. Guidance system malfunction. Searching for other routes. Searching. Obtain. Destination. Okay then. Set new guidance. Plotting route. What?
And you're going to be able to save yourself some money while you're doing it. There's also plenty of household items on this list, so just about anyone out there can use something on this list.
Wait, what's the plan here? What was?
Save the sales tax on storm supplies like generators, tarps, batteries, coolers, flashlights, candles, and
ammonia, silver. Okay, that's good. Holy crap! Hello.
monoxide detectors, fire extinguishers, laundry detergent.
Poisonous plant, great from the.
Paper towels, cleaning products.
Okay, so they're both pretty much the same.
There are no limits on how many individual items you can buy, but there are some important price limits to keep in mind. For instance, you had your eye on a Yeti cooler, well, unless a store
Copper
is going to offer
facing.
you a very deep discount on that, it's
Wait a
unlikely
second.
it's going to
Are those two planets colliding?
Because it's going to be over the limit on what a cooler is allowed to cost. The tax breaks begin tomorrow and they run through September 8th. For Fox Weather, Kelly Cowan reporting.
Those planets are extremely close together.
It's your Hurricane HQ, and we're keeping you up to date with the latest developments with how Invest 93L is forming and how the storm could impact the Gulf Coast, perhaps Florida. That's when Fox Weather Now returns.
No, they are not colliding. It just looks like it. Holy
I'm
crap.
Brian Norcross with a Hurricane HQ minute on the question, are coastal areas in the U.S. better protected now, or are they in worse shape than when the great hurricanes of the past?
Spine to planet. Copper, gold, sodium. Ooh.
Here on Miami Beach, the beach is much larger than it was decades ago. And
What the
there's
hell
an
is
extensive
that?
dune system which will slow down the surge, except
Hey, yo.
but many places along the coast don't have coastal defenses. A lot of money has been spent
That-
making the city of Miami
that is
Beach more
awesome.
resilient, and more expensive projects are planned. These dunes aren't just piles of sand. They're made stronger by what's under the sand and what's growing on top.
It's some sort of mineral. I think that's silver, if I'm not mistaken.
The island, the streets are being raised to account for
No, that's trinium.
and to help hold back storm surge. Streets that used to flood in heavy rain now drain with no problem. But in historic Charleston,
I'm sorry, so what?
and along the Mid-Atlantic coast, where the sea level is rising,
What did you say?
and the land is sinking, the streets flood in minor storms. This flooding was from Hurricane Nicole in 2022.
Yeah.
But this scene is being repeated more often.
Yeah, it's fine.
This year. National Hurricane Center projections show the daunting problem. Look at the red covering many parts of the city of Charleston and the surrounding area on this map. Those areas could see storm surge over 9 feet deep, and that's from a Category 3. Here on Miami Beach, a powerful storm could push storm surge over the dunes and into the city, and that's a problem. But the daunting challenge comes from the millions of people that have moved near the water all along the U.S. coast. It's hard to imagine how they'll all get to safety once the hurricanes come. Hurricane HQ had you covered. Stay informed this hurricane season. Download the Fox Weather app right now.
Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, no, I definitely don't have enough money for that. Holy crap. Shit. Let's see if I get anything worth selling here. Hopefully ionized cobalt is up a lot here. Ionized cobalt, nope. I'm gonna get rid of that.
Welcome back to Fox Weather as we continue to track Invest 93L.
Hello.
This is Fox Weather Now. I'm Ian Oliver.
This is what's happening here at the bottom of the hour, and it is a lot. It has been all
The owl of sleep.
which is going to have an opportunity to finally intensify over the weekend. It's been getting bullied by a significant amount of wind shear.
Make offer on lifelines. Oh, shit. Yeah, no, I definitely don't have enough for this one.
More like something you would expect in late August, at this point of the season, over in the Mid-Atlantic region.
Traded 17 million. Yeah, no, I won't have that for a minute.
The northwestern Caribbean is significant. We'll be staring at this over the weekend. Let's get to Fox Weather hurricane specialist Brian Norcross. Brian, this is something we've been watching for a couple of days. Now it appears as though there's an increasing likelihood of this being something impactful for Florida's Gulf Coast.
Yeah, I think the odds are high that it is going to be impactful. How impactful is a completely open question, but we can see it right before our eyes. It is indeed developing here. We have this general area of low pressure, but now we can kind of see it trying to wrap up right about there, I think, and we can see a band that's trying to form, kind of wrapping around into it, maybe another band, but anyway, a lot of thunderstorms happening, and generally, this kind of thing happens overnight. When the atmosphere is colder, it's more likely you're going to get thunderstorms develop. So what this is telling us is that the atmospheric pattern there is becoming more conducive. This thing is moving slowly to the north-northwest at about 10 miles an hour, so moving something like that. And then top winds are estimated at 25 miles per hour, but we'll see as we get more information.
Oh no, swamp planet.
So off to the west, we see another thing turning, but this is in the
swamp planet.
And this was the scoop that cold 93L out of the Pacific Ocean, actually, over Central America into the Caribbean. So this doesn't usually happen in August. It's actually, as Ian said, it's more in the Atlantic. We look in August. This is more a later season kind of phenomenon, but here we are right now. Now, looking at those upper level winds, there you see them, and there you see that scoop that pulled it up. But look over the disturbance here. You generally see the winds going this way, and these kind of winds are generally conducive for strengthening and development.
The stone resonates, producing a sound that fills with mind. A vision begins to take shape. I see two large aliens locked in combat. Eventually one triumphs, leaving their victim to bleed to death. With the last of their strength, the vanquished alien gestures towards me. The name Viking floats in my vision, an echo of the strange vision I just experienced. A word in this alien tongue seared into my brain.
So when you get these winds going fast, that helps things start spinning down below.
Interloper.
That's kind of what's happening now. So what we expect is going to happen with the National Hurricane Center forecasting, the 80% chance of this system moving to the north and developing.
This structure is unlikely anything I've encountered in my journey so far. Everything about it is obviously alien, so obviously out of place. I stare at it, words from themselves in my mind, strange fragment of broken speech. Is it traveler? Is it friend? It is traveler. I feel strange responding to questions I am unsure that I am being asked. If something has clearly taken notice of my reply, and I am overwhelmed by a sense that something has awoken. That something is watching. It forms another question. Is it first? Is it last? It is last. I do not know how I am being spoken to. This monolith is ancient, and I cannot escape the feeling it has asked these questions many times over. It asks again. Have they seen the Crimson Eye? Has the Crimson Eye seen them? Both. Likelihood of anomaly exceeds safety parameters. Breach detected.
Come across it enough to keep it weak, or are they just
alert?
and can actually enhance it. So if the upper level winds stay over here and the path is something like that, and so they're not
Alert,
really
alert, the boundaries fall, the walls collapse, your universe awaits. Find us, traveler.
We start here on a Tuesday morning, and there's the moisture, so you're already affecting at least the west coast of Florida at that time. Don't look at the
Oh my God, I want
The
it.
idea is it's affecting Florida. And we go forward in time, and it goes lickety-split, because by this time the jet stream is grabbing it, taking it north, so by Wednesday
Oh my God, that looks amazing.
here somewhere. Now, it could be down here, could be up here. We just can't be precise because it hasn't even developed yet. The number one rule of forecasting is any systems that have not developed or are just developing, the forecasts are more uncertain. And you have to imagine the cone with the aurora cone being bigger than the one that's out there. So the bottom line is everybody here needs to be aware, because there will be storm surge, there will be gusty winds, there will be
Stomach inside skull? What?
Lickety split off and along the Carolina coast. And yes, this could
Okay, that's
be
cool.
an issue for the Carolina coast, as it kind of rides.
He dislikes being scanned.
This is all northern dry
What the
air
hell?
pushing south, and we're pushed south behind.
I'm sorry,
the
what did you
system,
say?
Whatever it is. If, by the way, it ends up being an ice storm, it would be Idalia. And ice storms, we have a bad history with ice storms. So it's just kind of timing how that works out. Ian?
Yeah, right. And you don't have to go back very far to now a retired name. We won't be going through that again. But yeah, I knew it right away when that came up on the list for that reason, Brian, the notorious nature of the ice storms. We certainly hope this won't be another one. Fox Weather Hurricane Specialist Brian Norcross, thank you. But so Franklin is still around, and it actually has an opportunity moving into the weekend to intensify. Now, what's occurred over the last 24 hours? Nothing good for Franklin. As this emerged, it did bring torrential rain, awful flooding in the Dominican, moved off to the north, and then bang, you saw that path off to the right.
Make your way into space,
down
okay.
to the south. That's because of this big ribbon of wind shear that it ran into, stopped it in its tracks, and effectively shredded this system, almost decoupled it from its low-level center, which is in through here. And when you look at this in a three-dimensional sense, you can see the swirl of the low-level center, yes. All the convection, the strong showers and thunderstorms are greatly removed off to the east and the southeast of the center. That's the work of the upper level wind shear, the hostile winds pressing on that system and keeping it lopsided. So we've seen that work, and we expected that to be the case, although this has been even more dramatic than what was represented by forecast models. That's the ribbon of hostile upper level wind. You can see it there. When this eventually gets clear of it, wobbles off to the north over the weekend, that's where the intensification begins, and that is explicitly forecast in this track from the National Hurricane Center. Thankfully, Bermuda is out of the cone. Not saying there won't be fringe impacts, but at least the core of it passing a couple or a few hundred miles off to the west of the island of Bermuda. Then it continues off to the north and northeast from there, bringing some high surf and dangerous rip currents to the east coast. We'll watch for its proximity long-term up to the Canadian Maritime provinces. While Franklin isn't expected to directly hit the United States, its effects could be felt in the Sunshine State, really up and down the east coast of the U.S., with a high rip current risk expected across Florida. Let's bring in Fox Weather's Brandy Campbell in Miami Beach.
Oh, shit. I'm here.
There's already been 72 deaths this year from rip currents. It's not a threat that you can see, but it's one that will...
Incoming transmission, source unknown. You are not alone.
That's right. It's a very deceiving.
Please identify yourself.
So right now we're keeping an eye on the beaches up and down the east coast.
You left
Like
me.
I said, I'm here on
Why
Miami
did you?
Beach, where you can see the flags off in the distance behind
Tell me you don't know what
see
you're
that yellow
talking about.
flag to the
Of course
left of
you'd
your
say that.
screen.
Of
So right
course
now we have a
you,
medium
just like the
risk in
others.
the surf zone right now. We definitely have people out there enjoying
Let's
the
go.
water.
There's no reply to computer. The communicator falls silent through the channel remains open.
Something to just be aware of, as a lot of people, they always hit up the beach here in Miami, but up and down the east coast, they may be drawn to it even more.
Looks
so
like a
with the
fleet
holiday
just
coming up. So something to keep in mind
warped in as well.
Now, I also want to say, depending on your beach conditions, proximity to a lifeguard is very important, because that is really one of the factors that can save your life during a time like this, where riptides can, or currents I should say, can be dangerous, and sometimes they can become deadly. And we know with Franklin passing far off the East Coast, it could make those conditions even worse. Now, Ian, he mentioned these numbers. The preliminary reports for this year show there have been 72 fatalities in the surf zone this year in the U.S., 67 of those directly attributed to rip currents across the U.S. That information, according to the National Weather Service. I spoke with Jason Casanova, the division chief for the Miami Beach Ocean Rescue. He explained while they do have rip currents here, they haven't had any deaths this year attributed to them. However, along the 7.1 miles of beach here, they do have 38 lifeguard stands.
Okay, so
looking
it
over
looks
the
like
millions of people that come here every year. Just last year, he said they rescued 900 people from the water. Some of them caught in rip currents. So he suggests, regardless of what beach you go to, find a lifeguard station.
What happens is people go out to the beach, they see the crashing waves, which is actually in the shallow water, and they see the calm, flat water, which is the deeper area where the rip current is. They go in that water, and they get pulled out from the shore. But the most important thing is if you do get stuck in the current, don't panic, let it dissipate, and then swim parallel to shore. The worst thing to do is fight against the current, and it's called the drowning machine.
oh, I'm not gonna be able to
Exert all your energy to the point where you just stop and then drown.
All right, now take a look at this animation. This is exactly what he was talking about. This is from the National Weather Service. You can see the swimmer being dragged out in what appears to be calm water in the gap of waves. They waited, and eventually they swam behind the breaking waves and swam parallel to the shore to escape that. So when you go to the beach, especially over this weekend, going into next week when we could see those impacts from Franklin, keep that in mind if you get caught in that situation. And also, pay attention to your lifeguard for those flags, just so you have that heads up before you even get in the water. Ian?
Yeah, Brandy, plenty of summer left to enjoy still, especially right there in Miami. You just have to make sure you do it safely. Yeah, good tip there, Brandy. Thank you. Meanwhile, we still have dangerous heat in play for folks across the Midwest and the central Gulf Coast today. High temperatures in the upper 90s, low triple digits. Jane, good news for some, and at least that big bubble of just awful heat has consolidated this week.
And I think Mother Nature got together with Chicago and did it just in time for pumpkin spice to be rolled out. Cooler weather for the weekend, but that's not for everybody. And unfortunately, where it's not cooling down, it is really miserably hot. And for a place like Dallas, we break another record. I mean, how many of those have we had this summer so far? It's almost mundane to break a record at this point.
I think there's only 3 days so far in Dallas this month that have actually been in the double digits. Both of those, I mean, all three of them were 99. So be it. Yeah.
Well, the heat is going to continue to shift closer to the Gulf Coast. So this high pressure, which is in big control today across the Central Plains, the Heartland, St. Louis, another day of corn sweat. Well, that finally starts to recede as this high begins to shift down to the south. So there comes the cool down. Not so much really in the day tomorrow, but come Sunday, that's welcome.
Imagine that. We had a heat index yesterday in Chicago that was recorded at 120. You can knock 50 degrees off of that for Sunday afternoon.
That's a hard stop.
That's the work of Big Pumpkin Spice pulling the strings in the background. Well, yeah, farther south, no deal.
Now, Houston 109, all-time hottest day on record. Other occurrences back August 27th, 2001, September 4th, 2000. And so this heat, you know, it's just been a summer of records, and it's been a summer that's been so excessively hot for such a long period of time. That's what makes it dangerous, and that's what makes the headline.
Right, yeah, and in all seriousness, when you're challenging all-time records in some of these places, you know, the danger is real. So just be aware of this as we move on to the weekend. Also for the weekend, keep a close eye on the Gulf as Invest 93L chances of development rise. More on its potential path and who it could impact when we come right back here on Fox Weather Now.
That has to be photoshopped. Alright, I'm gonna end stream here. I'm kind of, yeah. I've got